All right, guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. And in this complete playlist, today we're going to talk about variables. So what exactly variables are? In mathematics, if you know, we generally write something like x, let x equals to 10 or something or any value. So variable can be defined as something which can vary, which holds a value. You can say it holds some value in it and can also vary. That means you can store any type of a variable, any type of value to a variable. So in Java or in any programming languages, you can create a variable by mentioning a type of variable. We're going to talk about the data types a little bit later. But yeah, for now, just let's say you have a variable called x and you assign it to the value 10. So that means right now it's having or it's containing the value 10. So it's not exactly that means x equals to 10. That does not happen. Like you cannot say alphabet or a letter is equals to a number. But right now we say the value of x is 10 and it stores the value x. And now if I wanted to print it out, I would say, and I'll say, I'll print the x value and let's run it. And we're gonna see this one as it's printing out as the value 10. And now if you see, I've written something as int. What is this int? You guys might be having a question like, what is this int? Can we write it without int and just say x? So my x is returning some kind of error. If you see, if you run it right now, it's going to say, okay, cannot find the symbol variable x in the class student. So in Java or in mostly in any programming languages, we have to mention type of data. Like for example, let me comment this type of data or whatever the data you mentioned. For example, here we have, let's say you have 25. So this is a what type? This is a number. And can we say it is an integer? In mathematics, we call it as integer. So any number, maybe minus 10, maybe 0, or maybe plus 2, 3, 2. This is called as integer, right? And also, for example, if I write, I am learning programming. What's it? This is, you can say a sentence, right? And maybe I'll say salary is maybe 2000. This is also a decimal and does not comes under the integer, but yeah, it's a decimal. And there are some values like, for example, if I say is raining, what would be my answer? Maybe yes or maybe no. So in Java, there are a number of data types where we can mention what is the type of data available. For example, to mention any number type of data, we have a data type called int, and this is for integer. And then we have something called string, and this is for any variables or anything which store like English alphabets or English character or anything or any sentence, any paragraph you wanted to say. For example, like this can be stored into a variable called string. The whole sequence of characters can be stored in the variable strings. Now, to store maybe decimal points, we have something called float, which stores anything like maybe 20.22, 23.23, any decimal point you can store in float. Okay. Now I wanted to store just a character. For that, we have a char data type. Like for example, if you wanted to store just a letter A, for that we use a data type called char. And then, like I said, is it raining? Yes or no. So these kind of data can be stored into a data type called Boolean. Okay. So Java classifies the data type into two types, specifically mainly two types. One thing is called as primitive data type, and other is called as non-primitive data type. So we're going to talk about non-primitive a little later, but you can think about it. This is just a user-defined data type. That means the user defines it. But primitive data type, which is already defined by your language, or that means defined by Java itself. So let's talk about primitive data type. Like we already talked about these int, string, float, char, boolean. So these are called the primitive data types. And primitive can also be defined or classified into boolean or numeric. And your string is actually covered inside the non-primitive data type, but we generally write it over there as well, but that's totally fine. But since string is a class, and we talk about classes a little bit later, but yeah, so these are called the primitive data types, where Java already defined these data types. Okay, so let's move forward to the next video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.